All right, folks, welcome back to the Barebow Project. This is the episode with the ladies of the Classic. That's right, your top three from the Lancaster Archery Classic 2022. I'm going to tell you, you're going to be happy to listen to this show all the way to the end. This is a good show. But before you get into that, you have to pay the fee. Again, you know it. We talk about it every show. Doesn't matter. It's fail safe. You know we're going to remind you. Share the show. Share the YouTube page. Share the podcast. Share the post in the Barebow Project subscribers group. All we ask is that you have a good time listening to this. You learn something to help somebody else. Share the show. Check out the sponsors later on in the show comments and pretty much everywhere except from the beginning of the show. Enjoy.
From Messina, New York, Gerald Butler. Let's give it up. Gerald Butler. Our third place qualifier coming up through eliminations, who was sixth in the elimination round, in the qualification rounds, Erin Heyob from Harrison, Ohio.
Christina Percoli from Ferndale, Michigan, of the women's barebow, a match made in Ohio. The number one qualifier, Fawn, Girard.
We got two Fawns. I don't know if the world can handle two Fawns.
I don't think it could. I think the world would just end.
Oh man, shots fired. If she does get this mic working, you are in trouble. No, I'm just playing.
I just don't think they'd be able to handle like all of it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with Fawn Girard, but we absolutely adore her for it. So
Yeah,
Here we
it's
go.
There
We
she
hear in one
is.
screen, and maybe we'll hear in another.
she's on her phone, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't hear her. I see. Let's see here. Stop.
It says connecting to audio.
Oh, does it? Okay, perfect. I think we got it.
Oh,
Asta,
now it's
unmute.
muted.
Here we go. Moment of truth.
Are you there?
We got
Yes.
Holy
you.
shit.
Hallelujah. All right, Erin, tell her what you just said.
That she loves me with all her heart.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
No.
You're a little liar. You gotta tell her exactly what you said.
I said was I
Fawn.
I just don't think the world would be able to handle your big personality if there was two of you. Like I think it would, like, the world would just end, honestly.
She said that
Oh
completely
no, there can't be two of
different.
you.
No,
Nope.
definitely not. So it just showed up too
One
in
and
the
only.
participants link, and she was like, "Oh no, the world can't handle two of her." That's how she said it. It wasn't quite as
And
perfectly
you're a
presented
liar.
as the way she just
That's
said
all
it.
right, Erin. We see how you are.
Look at that. She beat you on the podium one time. She's already throwing shade at you, Fawn. Oh my goodness.
Not
No,
what was
I'm
happening.
totally playing. Fawn, thank you for going through all of that rigmarole and trying to get on. I really appreciate it. So we messaged privately about like what we wanted to cover, and I definitely want to keep this in a similar fashion the way we did the men's round robin sort of discussion. And obviously the three of you are here to celebrate your success at the classic. You ladies, I apologize, put on a magnificent show. And I think that, of course we want to, highlight all that and stuff, but I think our goal with this podcast and this format is that you guys tell your story of the classic. It's you, and it's round robin. So Kristina, as our third place finisher, you will start, and then we'll go to Fawn, and Fawn can talk about her day one and how things. And then Erin, obviously you'll fill in as the number one, as the champ, but it's the goal of presenting how you were successful for the weekend. When did you shoot? When did you eat? When did you do this? How how do you manage, or how did you manage that you ended up finding yourself where you found yourself in the top 4, and talk about, things that stuck out to you, things about the event that stuck out to you. There's a lot of people who are scared to go to these big tournaments, and we want to explain to them so that they could literally come listen to this podcast and then be like, hey, I mean, I kind of already know what's going to happen. Fawn, Erin, and Kristina talked about it and what they did. So I kind of feel like I'm prepared. And then they come to the tournament next year. I said it on a Facebook post. I would love nothing more than to see like 300 Barebow shooters at the Classic next year. Like I would love to see Barebow as the biggest class, but
I want 100 women.
yeah, I was just going to say, we need to get more women there. And why stop at 100, Fawn? I think we could probably do bigger than that.
Well, I'm saying next year.
Yeah.
You gotta grow.
Yeah. But I mean, the women in Barebow have done a phenomenal job thus far. So it's just going to get bigger from here. So that's what we're going to do. But first, we're going to do some introductions. You're going to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, where you finished, and where you're from. Okay. And Kristina, we'll start with you.
So my name's Christina Percoli. And I'm from Ferndale, Michigan, which is a suburb just outside of Detroit. And I finished in 3rd.
Thank you very much. Fawn.
Fawn Girard, from Martinsville, Ohio. Finished in 2nd.
And young lady.
My name is Erin Heyob. I finished in 1st, and I'm from Harrison, Ohio.
Okay, so and you guys are relatively close, right? Fawn and Erin, from what we
Yeah.
understand. You see each other pretty often. Perfect. And we're gonna get into the day one, kind of your day one. We're just gonna jump right into it. When you arrived at Lancaster, what and how did you get your weekend started? We're just gonna go day 1 for all of you, day 2 for all of you, and then we'll get into the finals discussion. So Kristina, what was it like for you? Is this the first time you shot the Classic?
Yes.
Okay.
Very first time.
How was your arrival? What did you do? What did you expect? What surprised you? Everything.
Well, I knew it was going to be a large event going to it. I heard it was the largest on the East Coast. So I already had I was like, wow, it's going to be pretty big.
Yeah.
And because of COVID, I only saw tournaments very small. So just last year I started competing. So I saw a small, like, local tournament. So I never seen anything with that many bows until I went to Virginia for nationals. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. And then I heard how big Lancaster was compared to that. And I said, okay, this is going to be really amazing. I drove in on that Thursday. So after 8 hours, I walked into the facility and I was like, whoa, this is a lot. But it was like organized so well, really did a great job. And I felt that, yeah, I was like uncertain where kind of like things were, like different practice ranges. And I kind of just stuck to what I could like visually see and kept that as like my little home map that I stayed between. And I feel like that helped me just kind of stay within my sense of creating some sort of like, I don't know, just known space, established. Yeah. So I even like walked out and saw where my ball was at, and then just to kind of sense a little, take it in, orientate myself to it all. So that's kind of was part of my entry process, but it was really incredible. On day 1, I practiced a little bit in the practice range, and I noticed the ton of compounds. And they all seemed very, everyone was very friendly. But it was, I noticed that I was like kind of the only one out of the entire practice range that was Barebow.
Yeah. Okay. What practice range? Did you go to the one up top or?
I did the up top one.
So most of us, we traditionally, I don't know where we started it. We go to the grass practice.
I found that one layer.
Because I think one, the top one, because it's closest, is always packed. So we always started like, it's worth the walk. We'll go, to that back one. And then I guess the lighting up in the top is really, really bright versus the one with the grass maybe isn't quite so bright. And even when you go to the back one, if you get under the section with the nets that are like pulled up, not hanging, it's dark on one end and bright on the other. Did you ever notice that too?
I didn't shoot at that one, but I just found the
Okay.
grass one the day of the finals.
Oh, well, there you go. Apparently it worked out. So, all right. Well, good. That's perfect. Fawn, how about you? What was it like? So you've been to the classic many times, you know, what's your like definitive schedule? What do you make sure you try to do? Just walk us through.
So for me, this is I believe my 5th or my 6th classic. So I've been there a couple times. Went there at the old facility, and then of course the Spooky Nook. We actually left on Wednesday afternoon. We were gonna just drive part way, stay in a hotel, and then come in Thursday, but we decided to go ahead and drive the rest of the way. And we got there Thursday night or Wednesday night, stayed in the hotel, got up early, had some breakfast, went to the facility, walked around, talked to a whole bunch of people, went back to the grass area. The practice area on the left is darker than the practice area on the right. So I looked at the lighting, went to the one on the right because there was a couple more barebows over there. Met a young lady from Canada who was down shooting, talked with her, talked with a couple of guys from the buck run, probably shot maybe 30 arrows. Just get out and get the road dust off of you. Went for lunch and then hung out with some people and talked and got ready for the next day.
Awesome. So did you stay at Spooky Nook or did you stay off site?
We stay typically at the Lancaster Inn. It's about
Okay. Yeah, it's
6
nice.
minutes away. Nice place, so quiet.
Yeah, isn't it like right down from the Lancaster Archery too? It's not far from the Lancaster Archery, is it?
Mm,
Or didn't
I
you
don't
go
know.
over there? I
We
think so.
get over there.
Kristina, did you stay at Spooky Nook or did you stay elsewhere?
I stayed at an Airbnb 4 minutes away. It was perfect.
Yeah, so did I actually this year. All right, cool. Now, so and for people, just to give a heads up for people who are like, man, I really want to go to the classic. If you want to get a hotel, call like now and reserve your hotel if you want to stay at the Nook, which is nice. It's kind of like similar to like staying at South Point. If you go to Vegas, you're right there. It's not as big, but Spooky Nook in its own right is big, and it's a really cool place for like families and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so it's all good. Erin, you're up. So this was your first Lancaster, right? So
Yeah.
tell us, how was your trip in? What was your day one like? You know, what did you do? How did you feel? Go through the whole thing.
So we left Thursday night after I got home from school, and we drove all the way there. So we got there late Thursday night, like around like 12 or 1 a.m. or something like that. And so we stayed and then we slept, and then we got up pretty early. I don't know, probably around like 6 or 7. And we went and we just drove around and like looking around the town, and we found this cute little diner, and we got like a nice little brunch there. And then I don't really remember, the days kind of blurred together, but I think we went over to the facility after that and just got me checked in for the next day, and just so I could look around and see where everything was, and just kind of explore it a lot, which it was incredible to be there, honestly, because it was so big. I was not expecting it to be like that huge of a facility, because like Kristina, I just started competing last year. So a lot of my tournaments that I did shoot in were all mail in. So I was shooting from my home range. The only ones that I think I actually went somewhere else were like outdoor Target Nationals and 3D and stuff like that. Those were all like at different places. So, but like, because of the divisions in other tournaments, I'm with my like people my age. So there's usually up to like 12 in my division, but at Lancaster, like there was 57 of us, which is incredible. Like it was so fun to see all of the Barebows there. And it's just like, because we're like a family and we just all love each other. And it was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible.
So just to explain, so Spooky Nook is like a sports facility. There's multiple fields. There's soccer fields, lacrosse fields, field hockey, basketball courts, there's rock climbing walls. Like it's just this big, huge place. And when you first walk in the main entrance, it's a little bit overwhelming because you're like, where do I go? There's like sports therapists and massage therapists and like there's anything and everything you could imagine. And then when you make the left, you go down and the first thing you see is all these signs and the big competition archery media trailer. I don't know what happened to my mouth for a second. And then you see the registration table. And when you start to see the Lancaster archery stuff, that's when it becomes a little bit kind of overwhelming because we hear about Lancaster archery and I'm fortunate because I live so close to it, but people are like, whoa, this is Lancaster archery, and you hear the whole, you've seen the videos, you've seen the venue on YouTube. And then when you see it with your own eyes the first time, like Fawn's like a veteran of this. So it doesn't, I don't know if it, and Fawn, you can chime in here. I don't know if it loses its luster. You just know what to expect a little bit, but you still walk in, you're like, gosh, I loved being here. You know what I mean?
It's like Erin said, it's a family affair. I mean, with COVID and it being canceled last year, it was like you walk in and your family's there. It's like a big family reunion. So it is a little overwhelming when you walk in, no matter how many times you've been there, you're like, everybody's here and you can't walk from one end to the other without somebody stopping you and talking to you, 6 or 7 different times. And, my son always makes fun and he says, we better leave now if we're going to make it out within the hour.
Because you have to stop and talk to everybody.
You stop and talk to everybody because you're just a big family. And, you haven't, and especially with the COVID junk and, not seeing everybody for 2 years. I mean, it's hard on us. So.
Yeah, 100%. You are correct. And to see, it's refreshing to see such awesome numbers at the Classic post COVID. Like I won't get on a COVID conversation, but it had a lot of negative effects on archery in general. And to see even more so, Erin, to see somebody like you come through such a field of shooters, and there were some very good shooters there this year, and not be a kid who really competed in any big tournaments. That's amazing. And I'm happy for you. I think we all are. We all secretly, we were all like, man, this kid is fire right now. I hope she keeps going. And you did, you did. But anyways, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I'm sorry. Yes. So Kristina, day 2, what did your day 2 like? Were there nerves? Qualifications were coming. Were you, what did you do to prepare? When did you eat? When did you not? Did you look around, make sure you knew where the bathroom was? What was it? Give us the details.
Day 2 is Friday and the shooting time I had was 4 p.m. Noon. Like I can't even remember the
old blur now. We don't know, people. No, just
it was noon. I just had my usual morning. I just try to stick to my pattern of what I know serves me and I'm consistent with. So I didn't do anything like out of the ordinary. I usually do like a double breakfast. One's like really early and then one's like a little bit later. And then I did some practice ends, which I felt really great. I was like surprised. I had some really great practice ends. And I was hoping to like translate that right against as soon as I started shooting. And I felt like it was going pretty well for the first game. It was a lot to be on the line and seeing so many, and indoors. I feel like outdoors nationals, kind of the space, it didn't really, I don't know, when it was more compressed being actually inside of the facility and stacked amongst all these other, women, great shooters, some that so kindly received me from nationals, outdoor nationals are so wonderful, like Samantha, and remembering me and just being so kind and supportive, like, oh, it's so good to see you again and you're still shooting. It was, it was really nice. Like it was totally a family reunited. And then meeting Fawn and Erin, I don't know how I didn't meet you last year. But so it was exciting. So I finished pretty well. I was happy I couldn't believe I was 4th. That kind of shocked me because in all honesty, I was like, I'm not sure who all is going, but I hope somewhere whether I'm the top 10 or maybe top 5 would be awesome. That's all I said to myself. Like, I don't really like to, I don't know, state out too much of a goal like that, but I was like, somewhere top 5, 10, I'll be happy. That's going to be great.
Yeah,
So I was
absolutely.
happy to qualify by being in 4th. I was surprised.
So you qualified 4th, you shot a 495. Where was that in retrospect to what your, let's say, your local practice, your practice scores and your competition scores like locally?
Well, I just shot recently a 503, and that's without the X's being 11.
Okay.
So there was that, but I'm anywhere normally in the range of a 4, I think a 485 to 499 normally.
Nice. No, that's good archery. And that's, yeah, absolutely. And then to show up and shoot your average at a large tournament like that for qualifications is good. That's good archery. So congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Outstanding.
It felt good.
Yeah. All right, cool. Fawn, how about you? Day 2. You shot a monster qualification score. That's not a personal best for you though, is it? I didn't think so.
Yeah, it's a little bit lower than I typically do, but it'd be all right. It's my Lancaster personal best.
Okay. All right.
So yeah. So my day 2, got up early. I had the 8 o'clock line, which is just wanted to get it out of the way. So got up, ate a power bar, got, Talc up and ready and Ken up and ready, got out there, and we showed up about 7 o'clock-ish, stretched out, talked to some people, went to the bathroom, which, Rob does an amazing job, him and his staff at Lancaster, making sure that us ladies are taken care of with, the facilities right there next to our shooting line.
And they're actually nice facilities. Like they're not,
yeah, they're clean.
It's not like a porta john at a 3D
Yeah.
tournament.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they keep them clean and they keep them stocked, so that's good. But they keep us well taken care of. So 8 o'clock was my shooting line. Had some really amazing people on the shooting line with me, Paul Helms and Makeo, and I saw you a couple of times. I don't think you were shooting, you were just videoing, but saw some amazing shooters up there. Olivia, who I shot with, she was great.
Yep.
She's a good kid too.
Yep.
But just did my 2 practice ends and got to it. So, and shot a 547. So, and that put me in first in qualifying, and felt good with that, and just watched the rest of the day. Stopped in, went and grabbed some lunch, came back, stopped in, watched some other people shoot. Rooted on some other people. We went over and watched Erin shoot. Talked to her mom quite a bit, and Maggie, we watched her, and put it on the all the Barebows. So
Sure. Yeah, and just for those that are listening, Fawn would have been the 3rd place qualifier in the men's category. That includes whooping up on me. I am not ashamed of that in any way, shape, or form.
Dwayne Martin and John Demmer are the only 2 that got me.
The 2 that got you. Yep. It's good company to be around, Fawn. It's good company to be around, for sure. So by design, do you shoot the early line or no? Just register wherever.
I didn't make the decision until late that I was going to go to Lancaster this year. Just different things happening, different things that I'm working on. And I figured if I'm going to shoot, I might as well shoot early, get it done and over with, so the nerves don't take over.
That's good. Yeah. That's a very good, if you have all day to watch, like if you're new to it or whatever too, if you have all day to watch these people, like those nerves could probably build up throughout the day,
Right. Well, and you could tire yourself out too, because a lot of people like to spend a lot of time at the practice bags. I didn't even hit the practice bags before, because like in nationals, if you didn't bring it with you, you're definitely not going to find it when you're on the bags. So, I mean, you've got 2 practice rounds to make sure it's on and kill it from that point.
Yeah. Excellent information. We did see each other. I was actually coaching more, and then Matt was like, Frank, I want to record. And then we're walking around and we're doing this and we're talking to these people. And And we did that during eliminations too. But I think my struggle, and I don't know how actively you're coaching, Fawn. I know you do some S3DA stuff, but
Just got back.
Oh,
Walked in the
okay.
door before we got on.
Yeah, like my competition world and my coaching world are colliding majorly right now. And I think I'm coming to terms with it a little bit more. You know, we have kids, we have jobs, now we're coaching and trying to compete.
We have kids. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely becomes difficult. And I don't even want to mention the podcast. I still love the podcast. It is what it is. But yeah, and I appreciate that of you being able to have your child there with you. You only have one, right?
Yes.
So you have your child there, you have your husband there, you got to watch Ken, I guess, a little bit too. No, I'm just playing. He was just the driver that got you there overnight. Or did you guys split time? Did you split time in the drive?
He is 100% my rock. He's always there for me. If I got something going on, he's my equipment manager. He's everything for me.
That's awesome. Job well done, Ken. So day 2, Erin, where were you? What did you do? Where were you up here? How is things going? Tell us the goods.
All right. So day 2, which is qualifications, is probably my roughest day out of the entire thing. I woke up, I didn't shoot till the 3 o'clock line, which it was not horrible by any means. There just wasn't a ton of people that I knew there because a lot of the women Barebow had shot in the 12 o'clock line. So on my bail, like I was with all of the guy Barebows, which they were amazing. Like they were so nice and supportive of me, but I just I didn't have many people to talk to. So, but I mean, it was still so great. It was fun. But I had actually gone, since I didn't shoot until 3, before we went to the facility there, we went to Lancaster so I could get some practice in. And while I was there, I had a total mental breakdown and started crying for like an hour because the way my bow is, I have a bag that allows me to keep my bow together. And so I have it together. My old bag, I used to have to take it apart every time. So I don't really have an issue with taking it apart and putting it back together again. It's just when I was putting it together at Lancaster and I started shooting it, everything felt wrong. And like my string was wrong, my limbs were wrong, like nothing felt right. And I just kind of got a little bit overwhelmed and into my head, like this is gonna be so bad. Like I'm gonna shoot so horrible because nothing feels right. But after I just like sat down and I calmed down a little bit and I just breathed and just like calmed down for a minute. I started shooting better. So it just took me a minute to just get my stuff together, get rid of the nerves, I think was a big part of it. But yeah, then I shot at 3 and I did pretty good. I didn't shoot as well as I wanted to. I didn't shoot horrible, but I think I could have done better. It's just my last couple of ends, I started getting into my head about my score, which is something that is pretty common for me. So I just was like freaking out because like I wanted to do well because it's like my first Lancaster tournament and I shot some rough shots towards the end because of how bad I was focusing on my score.
Yeah, well, it's good that you recognize that now. That, don't focus on your score.
Yeah.
Shoot good shots. That's all that matters. We've said it a million times, and Grayson is definitely one that has driven the message home for me. Like nobody truly cares how you're shooting other than you. And you have to learn to be the one person that can ignore it and just focus on shooting. And it's good, but it's good that you had that experience of like the breakdown and, you're in Lancaster shooting range. And it's overwhelming when you go in there because you see videos and pictures of it. And there's cameras here and there's TV screens there and you can see arrows at the target and it messes with you a little bit. And then you're like, okay, no, I'm just shooting arrows. And you have to kind of come back to reality for a second. And, but think about this though, Erin, think about how much better of a competitor you're going to be moving forward, having gone through that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where even despite winning the classic, those little victories is exactly the way you need to look at them. Don't look at it as, oh my gosh, I had a mental breakdown for an hour. look at it as
Yeah.
it was a victory because you bounced back and shot a really decent score. I don't, you say what you will, you shot a 493, I think.
Yeah.
That's a great score. That is a great score. So there's absolutely nothing to be like, if you shoot 270s in practice or 265s, whatever, you can't expect to shoot that all the time. There's going to be moments
Yeah.
where it's just not going to go. And there's going to be moments where it's going to be okay. And this was one of those moments where you pulled it out and you did well. And you ended up qualifying 6th, which is a good place to be. You're kind of like right in the middle of the pack in some ways. So that's a good spot. Just to give out some shout outs here, we'll go top 8. Olivia Arts came in 8th. Jill Butler, who
Ended up 4th.
Kristina, you took on her, right? No,
No, Erin.
I did.
Erin did. That's right. Erin, you were in 6th. Samantha, she's a top 3 finisher from the Outdoor Target Nationals. Christina 4th, Christy Lyons 3rd, Maggie came in 2nd, Maggie Brensinger, and then Fawn rounded out the number 1 spot for qualifications. So then we get to, I guess this would be day 3 technically. No, this is day 2. No, technically day 3, day 2 of shooting. So, Kristina, have you ever been in eliminations before? I guess so. You said you shot Target Nationals, right?
Yes, I did make it to eliminations to Target Nationals, and it went by really fast, and I was out right away. So it was the first time I've ever done eliminations like that. So it was just so fast. I was like, okay, I guess I'm done. And I was just happy that I even made it to elimination. So, that was that. But for Lancaster, it was, I was a bit nervous. I was like,
Really?
could I make it to the finals? Like for a moment, I was like, for a moment, I thought I'm just going to shoot and then eat food and then drive home type of thing. I was serious. And so I just kind of was like, well, I'm just going to shoot my shot and just trust my process and just see what comes. And I was really fortunate that I shot so well in both of the eliminations.
I would say so. Hold on, my phone locked on me because I was looking at your scores. Kristina, you shot a 107 in your first match.
Yeah, that was the best
That's
moment.
some solid stuff right there.
I was like, wait, I'm like, can that just happen all the time on 4 ends? Like, or 3 ends? Like, this is great.
You took on Laura Hughes, a known competitor throughout women's barebow. She's a former USAT, maybe current, I don't know, USAT team member. Laura's a competitor. You shot a 107 versus her, and then in the 1/4 matches, I guess, you took on Jen Stoner. And if anybody knows Jen Stoner, she's kind of one of the OGs of women's barebow, and you beat her by 1 point, which is that's a big step. You came through 2 very very good shooters for sure to get there. So you absolutely positively earned that spot. So did you learn anything from Outdoor Target Nationals? And I guess maybe you kind of said this, but I'm gonna let you elaborate on it more versus going into Lancaster. Like, did you have a thing in your mind like I'm gonna do this, or what did you build upon from Target Nationals?
Well, at Target Nationals, I was really enjoying the family embrace of it all. And I was, singing on the line, dancing on the line in some ways. It was so fun the way everyone was. And I feel like I was like, I really kind of need to buckle down a little bit. Like I gotta not there's got to be a little bit of game face as well. And then also just coming into indoors from outdoors was a dramatic shift in my practice. I went from, because just minute adjustments at a long distance is one thing, and then taking that refinement to a shorter distance really definitely shifted my shooting. So
indoor game is a hard game to play. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter what bow you shoot, what discipline you are. it's a tough game. And I say it all the time, like whether it's indoor or outdoor, really, but like that shooting line is a lonely, lonely place because it's just you and your thoughts. And if those thoughts go down the wrong place, man, it can make for a long day. But you,
Mhm.
whatever the transition was, you did an amazing job. So you just keep doing that. Whatever you're doing, just keep.
Yeah. Well, we'll
Fun.
see how it keeps going.
You're doing fine. And I assume you're going to shoot target or indoor nationals.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, Fawn. Your
Okay.
day 3, I guess day 3 of shooting.
So 8 a.m. line.
8 a.m. line, yeah. So you were already prepared.
Right. So got up, ate my power bar, did my thing. I ended up against Kelly Scott.
Yep.
I believe she's from Colorado. She's gonna be a good shooter there too. She keeps at it. I believe it was either 107 or 109 for the first
109.
round.
Yep, you shot a
Yeah,
109 again, monster score.
Yeah, and then I ended up with Olivia. And she is a hot competitor. Let me tell you what, she's going to be one of those to watch for sure. And I believe we did a 107.
Yep.
And
Yeah, you had a 107. She shot a 104. That's a stellar score.
Yeah. So I mean, we were right there. So we were pretty close all the way. And then just sat back and watched the guys kick some butt, and then went out for lunch, and then went to our shoot downs in the afternoon.
So do you have any advice for people, because you've been in this situation so many times? You've been in a situation through 3D, through the classic shooting, the indoor, what do they call it out in, I guess it was in Yankton last year or 2 years ago.
Fields.
No.
Oh, NFAA nationals, and then we had the US shoot down.
The US shoot down. Yeah. I guess they don't
Yeah.
call it US Open because that's what outdoor target is, but whatever.
Right.
Like, do you have some recommendations or just like some words of wisdom for people who get into those situations for the first time?
Well, like Erin and I kind of had this discussion too. It's one arrow at a time. Barebow is one arrow at a time. I mean, all archery is one arrow at a time, but for Barebow, we really have to focus on that one arrow and then move on to that next arrow. And the way we look at it, or the way I teach my students, and I try to learn from it myself, is, this is just a practice for the next time we go out. And that's just a practice for the next time. And it's just a practice for the next time.
I like it.
Nobody, like you said at the beginning, nobody really cares except for you. So who are you really trying to beat except for yourself?
Yeah, that's perfect. I like the way you kind of frame it. You're framing it as in every arrow is just training for the next arrow. It's not, it's not that idea of like, I have to perform. Like, Erin, you kind of got bit by that bug a little bit at Lancaster when you were shooting practice. You were like, oh my gosh, this is the way I'm going to shoot for the rest of the weekend. And that's not really, that's not far. I think, so with that being said, and that segue, listening to what Fawn just said, let's talk about your day going into eliminations. How did you handle it? What did you do that helped you? Whatever you want to share that you think is going to help somebody else, share it.
Okay, so going into them, the first person that I went against was Sabrina Harrigan. I ended up beating her 99 to 78, and then I went against Kirsty Lyons, who I met her for the first time at Field Nationals, which was in September of last year. And she's so fun. Like, she reminds me of Fawn. Like, she gives me Fawn vibes because she just loves Barebow. Like, I feel like all of us do, but she's just one of those people who's like really an advocate for it. So it's always fun to shoot against her. And she's very supportive. Like, as soon as I won, she came right out to me and she just like talked to me, and she's like, "You did such a great job. You're amazing." She's cheering me on the entire time. But she also, like, on a more serious note, was like, it's going to be a lot of pressure. Like, you're going to have interviews and you're going to have people who want to talk to you, and you're going to have a ton of friend requests and stuff like that. And if you need something, like, you can come to me, you can text me, you can text my daughter, like, I'm here for you. And that was amazing to me to have that kind of support. So, like, even though I don't know her that well, you know?
Right.
But yeah, so after I beat her, well, while I was shooting with her, I didn't even think I was going to win against her, because our first two ends, we were like, she was doing pretty good and we were pretty close the entire time. I had a good last end, so that's why I ended up beating her by 2 points. Yeah, it was 101 to 103. But yeah, she was fun to shoot with because it was close the entire time, so it was interesting. But like Fawn said earlier, I just had to really get into the mindset that every arrow that I shot, every end that I shot, I just had to keep telling myself over and over in my head that it was just another practice end. Like, it didn't, like, I had to convince myself that it didn't mean as much as I would have made it out to be, because I tend to put myself under a lot of pressure, like I had done at Lancaster when I was practicing, where I want to be good. Like, I don't like being bad at things in front of other people. And so I really had to focus on getting into the mental state of just, it's okay. It's okay if I have a bad arrow, and it's okay as I have a bad end, as long as I learn something and take away something from it and I have fun.
Oh, that's not the words that typically you hear from a 16-year-old. Job well done, kid.
She listens to the people that are around her.
You know, there seems to be, with these young kids who shoot so well, that's really the common denominator, Fawn. They listen. They put in the work. They put in the work and they listen. Yeah. I mean, that's literally. So okay. So we're through eliminations. We end up with our top 4. There was a little bit of an exciting match with Jill Butler, so we're going to give a shout out to Jill. Her and Maggie went head to head. Now, Jill might not be known too much to the Lancaster crowd, but Jill's a national champion on NFAA. So like she knows, she's been down this road. She knows what she's doing. Her and Maggie went head to head and ended up coming to a tie on the last arrow, and Jill took her match with Maggie by 111. So for those who watch this or maybe haven't been to Lancaster, and I've been a victim of the 111 loss in eliminations shooting Olympic recurve myself that kept me out of the top 8. It's one of those situations where when you have a tie score and you go back through that match, and whichever shooter has the most amount of 11s, that's your initial tiebreaker. It's not just 98s and then you have a shoot off. That's not the way it works. So we don't see a ton of shoot offs, but we do occasionally. I know there was one this year between like Leo and I think Rick Stonebreaker.
It was Rick Stonebreaker and Paul Helms.
Oh, Paul Helms. That's right.
Yeah, because they both shot 8s, but Paul's was just a little bit further out.
A little closer. Shout out to Paul for taking that. Yeah, but you're right. And I keep thinking there was another one, but I could be wrong. So, but we don't see a lot of those. So it's definitely rare. And then Jill made it to the top 4, and then again, in a little bit different fashion, mainly just because of the numbers right now, women you have your top 4 go to the finals on the stages, right? And
the top 16.
Yep. And then, so we have Jill and Erin are the first match. So Jill's not here. So Erin, tell us about what, like the warm-up area. What did you do before? Did you shoot, out in one of the ranges beforehand? How did you kind of prepare yourself for that match leading up to that moment? You walk through the curtain and they have the camera in your face and a light shine on you and you can't see anything. And then you have to walk up there and stand on that stage. What did you do?
So I think the first thing, so right after the first round of eliminations, we had time to kill until finals, which started at like 5:40, but was running a little late. So it didn't really start till 6. But I stayed for a little bit longer, and then because we were just gonna stay until then, but then I was so tired. I was so tired and I was hungry. So we left and we went back to our hotel, and I took a nice hour nap. I felt so good afterwards. And then we came back, and I was there pretty early, so I went and I got a couple of practice ends on the 3 practice fields, and then we waited for the the final practice range to open so that we could shoot there. So I was just sitting and talking with people from my range until then. But when we were finally let into the finals room, I got into the finals room. That's where I met Paul for the first time, and I met him 5 minutes before I started shooting, and he stood in my coach's box for me because Fawn was amazing and gave him to me. Because my coach, he wasn't there, unfortunately, because he had other things to do and other people to help coach, because it's amazing. But Paul stood in for me, and
Who's your coach?
Stuart Anderson.
Yeah, I saw you posted a really nice post on social media. And there's definitely a mutual respect there. Stuart Anderson, and where is he from? An archery shop or a club?
So he coaches and he teaches classes at Archery World, which is where I shoot in Fairfield.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good
so I met Paul,
shout out to your coach.
So I met Paul, and he was standing beside me while I was practicing, and I was very concerned because with the lighting and stuff, my arrows were going very, very high. I think I had maybe 2 out of I probably shot 5 or 6 practice ends, and I had 1 that went in the yellow or something crazy like that. So I was a little concerned, but Paul just made sure that I kept calm and I was breathing, and I think I did pretty well not letting it get to me, but I was changing things up to try to get it to the center, which means that I had to aim differently. But when I actually went into the finals where my aims I normally do, and it hit the center, so I don't know what it was, probably just the nerves.
Run it.
Yeah, but it was really interesting because I've never done anything high pressure like that before, which it was crazy because you had the staff coming up to you, and since I was seated above Jill for the first one, I got to pick whether I wanted to be on the left or the right and whether I wanted to go first or second. And so I picked the left, and I wanted to go second. And so she went out and then I went out, and I was really lucky that a kid from my range, his name is Hayden Mormons. He's a compound shooter. Yeah, he's amazing. He agreed to be my arrow advocate, so he was there with me the entire time, just like Paul, and we were standing and we were waiting for our turn to go out, and he could tell that I was getting a little bit nervous, so he was just telling me all these jokes and just lightening the mood so that I wasn't stressing out about how it was gonna go. So that was nice. And then we went out, and honestly, I expected it to be a lot more intense and stressful than it was. But I got up on there and I kind of just got in the zone, and I didn't really see anything except for the target that was right in front of me. So yeah, I just I focused on my form a lot, and I didn't even know what my score was through any of the matches that I shot with anybody. I was just shooting. And I think my mindset at that time was I didn't really care if I got 4th or if I got 1st. Like I said, as long as I was having fun and taking something away from it, like I said earlier, because even though I'm not super proud of my qualification score, because obviously there's always room for improvement, but I made it to the finals, and for me that was just incredible to be there. So I didn't really care what I got. I was gonna shoot my best no matter what, but I was just having fun. Yeah, I was shooting against her, and it was kind of intimidating because she's so serious, but she's super nice.
Jill,
so I was shooting against her, and it was fun. Yeah.
Jill, like I said, she's been around the sport. She knows what she's doing. She's unique. She shoots a glove. I've worked with her about shooting a Yoast tab, and I think she's working toward it, but that glove is comfortable for her. It's her security blanket, and she shoots well with it. So I told her that she took our seminar the week before, and I was like Jill, I think you should work towards shooting a tab, but you got to do you. And if you is that glove and that glove works, then nobody can argue the fact. You know what I mean? But you're right. I could see where she could kind of be a little intimidating because she's very serious, And that
Yes.
maybe that's just how she handles those moments of high personal value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at any rate, you knock out Jill on your first match on the stage, and then you have Kristina. So you both of you, this is your first time at the classic. You are Erin, you're a veteran actually at this point because you just went through one match up there. So you're one step ahead.
Yeah.
Kristina, when you came out, did you move her?
I did. And that was, I saw one video previously of it. Actually, it was a fawn. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna move the person. Like this is a
I'm gonna
technique.
move the person.
Okay.
If we get
this is what we
anything
do.
right, we're gonna move the person. That's what we're gonna
It's
do.
Yeah, I was like,
bump.
okay, I'm gonna move them. That's like, like, okay, this is a strategy. And then I didn't even think about, because I don't practice arrow for arrow, and I don't know why I didn't practice it. Anyways, but I didn't practice that ever before. And so I just was like, I'm gonna go second, because I was like, I think it's gonna be better. So I was like second. It was a spur of the moment thing. I didn't even think about that. It wasn't part of my prep.
Sure. But well, let's talk about your match now. You come out. What did you move, Erin, to the left stage or the right stage?
I moved her to the right,
Okay.
and I
All
took
right.
the left.
And then you took the left. So let's talk about, so Erin just knocked off Jill. You come out on the stage, and what happened? How did you feel? How did you handle it? What did you do to get through the I guess the initial shock of the situation?
I don't think there's anything that necessarily can prepare you for a giant TV screen of your own face right above a target, and then a rolling camera in front of you, and then a camera on a boom like thing. And then like a really great supportive crowd, to one side of you and behind you. So it was just, and lights, in the dark and the light, very dramatic, and microphones. I don't think anything really can prepare you for like what it is. But yes, it's uncomfortable, but you settle into it if you kind of have to, and you just shoot your shot. You just shoot, you just do what you can.
Yeah. So you guys go head to head. And let's see here. Erin came out 695. I want to see if it shows what final order. There it is. 698, I guess you ended up with your total, and Erin just beat you out with your match. Still an amazing performance. And like Erin, I think you kind of alluded to it, and I people need to realize it. Once you made the top four, like you made it. You're there.
Yeah.
It doesn't, what happens from here moving forward is just like a bonus. I'm not even talking about money. I'm just talking about like the experience. Like it's just a bonus, right? It's like, hey, here I am. This is fun. I'm going to enjoy every moment of it. Right. So
Yeah.
you guys go head to head. Kristina, it was your first time up. Unfortunately, Erin did catch fire, and you kind of went in and went out real quick. And then, which still, to say it's still an amazing thing, and you still shot well, and you looked super, super calm, Kristina, when you were up there. Whether you actually were or not, I don't know, but you looked the part. So you did good.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it was really fun. I felt great after like the first shot. It was just nervous, just to shoot in that space,
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm ready. And then the third end, I don't know, it was a lot. And
Yeah.
I think I was like, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm kind of like, am I close to an end? Is this the last part? And I kind of tripped myself up a bit with like trying to figure out numbers. I shouldn't have gone there. I don't do that normally ever in my practice. And I got there in that moment. But it was great. And Erin shot great. I mean, Erin, you're so consistent.
Thanks. Yeah, I think that was probably my biggest advantage, is because you blew it out of the water the first two ends, and I was so intimidated that you came out and you were like shooting like all these good scores. I was like, she's gonna kick my butt. And if you ask my mom, she like almost had a heart attack. That's how nervous she was. But yeah, you were just, I think that my biggest advantage throughout the entire thing was my consistency. but you had like some amazing shots that were like, they were just so good.
Thank you.
So Erin, you managed to get through the match with Kristina. When did the reality set in, like, oh my gosh, I have to shoot against Fawn?
I
Never.
don't think, yeah, I don't think it really, like, for me, like, I wasn't expecting to have to shoot against her because, like, I wasn't expecting to get that far. But I think because I have the opportunity of shooting with her a couple of times before that, it wasn't as stressful, and she didn't seem as intimidating because I know her personality and I know what she's like shooting. So actually more of like, it wasn't like a stress factor, it was more like a comforting factor. I'm like, oh, here comes Fawn, like we're gonna have fun now, like the crowd's gonna be involved, make jokes, it's gonna be fun.
So perfect. That's a perfect segue for Fawn to tell us about what she did getting ready, sitting out back, listening to what's going on. Fawn, was there any point in time where you're like, the competitive side of you, I'm sure was like, I don't care who it is, I'm going to beat him. But like, was there a part of you that was like, man, I hope I do get to shoot against her? Or how did it go? What were the emotions for you?
I was just in the back, and I was kind of paying attention to how Kristina and her were doing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Kristina's got this. And then I'm like, oh, Erin, keep strong, baby, keep strong, baby. And the guy behind the curtain, he goes, who are you rooting for? I said, both of them.
Yeah.
And he goes, you're confusing me. And so I'm like, no, I want them both to do well. And he goes, well, who do you want to go against? I said, I don't care. I said, I just want them both to shoot well. And so then I'm like, okay, so I was trying to, I'm like, okay, I just want to shoot one more round back there. I went back, shot at the practice, and he goes, oh my God, there was just an 8-point swing. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but I guess Erin ended up, Kristina had a not so hot end, and then Erin had a very consistent end, and it was like, yeah, okay. And then I'm like, crap. And then I'm like, okay, this is an Ohio thing. So
This
so
is
it was
an
one
Ohio
of those things.
thing.
Well, it was. I mean,
Yeah.
like Erin said, we've shot together at leagues before. I think we've even had head-to-heads down there before during leagues, and we've had, and it's a game, and it's anybody's game. It's Barebow. Anything can happen. As you guys talk to Demmer all the time. You've watched him shoot other people's targets and still kick booty.
Yep.
It's one of those things that, anything can happen at any time. So when it was Erin, it was kind of, okay, here we go. So, and then it was like, dang it. Okay, Santos, you're in my corner. And somebody else is going to have to go get my arrows because, Hayden was going to get, we had it to where Paul was going to be my coach, and then Erin kept him. And
Oh, well played, Erin. Well played.
Well,
See?
because Paul and I, we shoot together all the time. So when Erin was like, a little bit, it was like, okay, you got to have somebody in your corner. And Erin may not remember it, but she has shot with Paul before. and it's okay, but he shoots at our club also. So it's one of those things of, having the Ohio, behind you, it helps.
Sure.
So it's one of those things of, keep us calm and keep us ready. So I'm like, okay, Santos is in my corner. I got this, and go out and it's arrow for arrow. And so we got out there and we was, cutting up a little bit and having some fun and doing our thing. And it just happened to be that, first round went pretty well. Second round, I don't know what I was looking for my string blur, and with the black bow and the lights and everything else, I was having trouble finding it, and popped one out the top into a 7 and one out the side in a 7. And I was like, son of a biscuit. But she shot very consistent and she killed it. So, I mean, and I know her mama is super proud of her, but to take all that stress and remember what adults around her told her, to take it one arrow at a time, just really practice on your form and do what you need to do. She really kicked butt in the stressful situation. So, I mean, we're just so super proud of her. So
awesome. Thank you, Fawn. So Erin, you have Fawn on the ropes. You guys are head to head. And there was we were watching the video that last like couple of ends, and there was what Fawn
Yeah.
said something. I don't know if she left the shit fly or something. I don't remember what it was. And you were literally at full drop with a smirk on your face. I think you shot an 8, but not because it landed there. I think
Yeah.
it pissed off the arrow and landed in the 8. Like, it was that moment, like listening to Fawn just being Fawn, was that almost comforting even more for you, or like I'm just shooting
Yeah.
arrows on like I always do?
Yeah, it was comforting. I heard her, and like she'd be making jokes the entire time, but she made me laugh, and I was like, I should have let down that I was scared that I wouldn't have enough time, but it was whatever.
So talk us through those last like 6 arrows.
Um,
Or was it all a
so-
blur right now? It could still be a blur. I don't know.
It kind of is, but I know that like I knew it was close. Like we were going back and forth pretty much, and I knew that I just totally lost my train of thought.
Last 6 arrows.
But I knew that we were close, and because that before every end, one of the judges would come up to us, and whoever was in the lead got to pick whether they wanted to go first or second. And so like she had been picking first, which I was totally cool with because I like going second. But then he came up and he asked me, and I was like, oh, okay, so now I'm in the lead. So what am I gonna do about it? And so I still picked second, and Fawn was a little mad about that. She turned around and was like, why are you doing this? But yeah, so I shot, and I think for the most part, like I was still focusing mainly on my form, but I knew when it came down to those my last end, I was like, it's gonna be close. I honestly didn't even know what the score was, and I didn't know that I had won until like after the fact, like after they had said it and stuff, because like I knew, like I said, I knew it was close. I just didn't know like that I had beaten her because I didn't know like what the point difference was between us. So I knew like I was just taking it like Fawn has said, like shot by shot. And so I shot my first one and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then I shot my second one and I was like, okay. And then I was like, all right, this third shot, this is what's gonna count. And so I shot it, and it somehow it got in the middle. So I was really I was proud of myself for that moment because like I think I've said this before, but I struggle. I get into my head a lot about my score because I'm very score oriented. But I had a ton of amazing people supporting me throughout this tournament and just helping me and reminding me that that my worth wasn't determined by my score, that I was doing good no matter what it said on the scorecard, as long as I was trying my best. So that was amazing. And like I said, I was focusing on my form the most because I was scared that I was going to be so stressed out that my shot process was just going to go all over the place. That's why, like, when I'm shooting my shot process, when I was shooting at Lancaster for the finals, I raised my bow and I drew a lot slower than I actually do for regular tournaments, just because I was like checking things off, like my mental checklist as I was going along. I was like, okay, I need to do this, and then I need to do this, and then I'm going to draw back, and then I'm going to count, and then I'm going to let go. That way I could make sure that I wasn't rushing my shot. Or I've had a history of holding for way too long, almost as long as compounds, because I get that concerns about like it not hitting the middle. So when I count like that, like one of my coach, Stuart, he told me that when I draw back, you either can count to 3, but we say strong, smooth. And after that, we have to release. So that's what I do to help me keep a consistent shot process, to make sure I'm not rushing myself or taking too long.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great little mantra / like training tool to use.
Yeah.
I like it. That's good. So you are into your last arrow.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure your last arrow was a 10, right? We talked about this, and the place just erupted. You shoot your last arrow.
Yeah.
When did you realize that you won the Lancaster Archery Classic?
I think
When she jumped over the
when she jumped
and gave
over
you a hug,
me,
and
I
you were
was
like,
oh, okay, I must have fun, you know. But
Oh, you
but yeah,
can't
but
make
for
this
that I
stuff
did know,
up.
like I knew like we had shot our arrows and they were going down to call them, and I was kind of just standing there, and I looked back to Paul. I was like, I don't know what happened. Can somebody explain it to me? But yeah, then she jumped over and she's so excited. So I was like, okay, something happened.
Oh, that's such good stuff. That is amazing. Fawn, as a mentor in all of Barebow, not just in Ohio, but like you've done a lot for women's Barebow. Is that in your career? Where does this rank? It's got to be up there, I would think. Seeing someone come from your home state, your club, someone that you've watched grow up and shoot over the last year and a half, 2 years, right? 2 years?
Year and a half.
A little over 2 years, yeah.
Yeah. So like, what does that do for you? It's got to be some full circle stuff going on there.
Well, yeah, because these kids are our future. I mean, if we don't teach them the proper ways and teach them how to handle this stress and teach them that, archery isn't what's going to make or break you in life, and it's not your entire life. I mean, look at us, Frank. We're old. We've got kids.
I
We
know.
have
Denver
jobs.
reminds me all the time.
I know, but we've got kids, we have jobs. This isn't our life. This isn't what life is about. Yes, can we learn life lessons from it? Absolutely. But the whole thing is we have to teach them how to handle stress, how to handle winning, how to handle losing, how to handle the whole process of it. What you put into it is what you get back out of it. And having a great group of kids that we have, that we can be part of their lives and part of their process, and they actually listen, which just being a teacher, it's great to have somebody that actually listens.
I can relate to that too.
But it does go full circle, and it's wonderful that when we were sitting before we went out there for the finals, she said, just take it one step at a time. It's just another practice for another practice, and just to hear my own words come back to me, it's like, yes, okay, she's gonna rock this out, and then to have somebody that you've hopefully inspired to come and do this and actually help teach me, because everything that I do, I try to learn something from. So when I came back, I changed some things up and did my thing too. But I learned from her just as much as she's learning from me. So hopefully that full circle goes around all the way around with all of us, so it's huge and so proud, and, especially to know her. So, yeah.
Yeah. The Ohio connection up there. All you needed was, my dog keeps coming in and out. That's why the door's opening. She's
Sure it
like,
is.
what are you doing? It's time for bed. I'm going to bed. You need to finish the podcast. That's what she's saying to me. Right. No, yeah, I think you're spot on. And I think that's a great way to sort of like button up the podcast, because, you, Erin, you have a bright future ahead of you. I think we're all excited to see where it goes. Stay humble, listen to Fawn. And
Obviously.
Listen to Stuart.
Yeah. Oh, and yes, I'm sorry. Listen to your coach.
And listen to Hayden.
Yeah,
He's
barely.
always
Yes.
right.
I want to know the jokes. That's all I will say. I want to know the jokes, Hayden. Message me. I'll post those things. And keep the current perspective that you have and what you got through this, what you use, keep that moving forward, because that's oftentimes where we see shooters go down the wrong path, because expectations start to creep in. Forget expectation, just keep moving forward. And I will tell you that you are much more calm and nervous when the first time when we did that live feed during trophies too, because you're like, and you definitely you're starting to get a little bit more refined in your discussions. So
it's a lot easier when you have time to prepare yourself for it.
Oh, come on. No excuses. No, just playing. But anyways, good job, kid. I think we're super happy to see it. You have an infectious personality, and I think it's perfect for Barebow. And then Fawn, of course, congratulations to you once again. It's always fun to watch you shoot. It's fun to watch you some of the changes you've gone through over the last couple of years. And also I'm honored because you're one of my teammates for Hoyt. So I have to throw that in there. And Kristina, it's nice to see you go from Target Nationals to third place at the Classic in less than a year. That's outstanding. And just stay that course. And just for everyone, I want to put this out there because there's a point in the interview process when you guys were up there, actually, Erin, something that you said that caught my mind. And I want to finish the podcast with this because I want people to understand how hard the three of you worked. You said at one point, so you're 16, you shoot 4 or 5 days a week.
Yeah.
That's what you said, 4 to 5 days a week. Drive yourself to practice. How long have you been doing that since indoor started?
Since indoor started, the large majority of the time, so my birthday is in September, so that's around when I could start driving. So before that, I have amazing parents. My mom's amazing. She drove me to practice and all the time. So yeah, I'm either.
So you've been doing it.
I'm either at school or I'm at practice or I'm at work. Those are the only 3 places.
No, that's perfect because there's a lot of kids out there that shoot archery, and 2 days a week isn't going to cut it. And I think they need to understand, like at 16 years old, you were driven enough, like I'm shooting 4 or 5 days a week, and I'm going to put every ounce of effort into this to make sure that I am going into this with my most confidence. Now, on the flip side of that, you're 16 and the only responsibilities you have is a job, school, and to shoot archery. Fawn, let's talk about how many days a week you shoot right now and how, and I'll give a reality because there's a lot of women who are maybe
Mothers.
mothers that
Mothers
want
have
to
their own job.
Talk about it. How do you really?
So like right now, so I work full time. I'm a teacher, and then I have my own child who does gymnastics 3 days a week, not counting his, tournaments that he has.
Yep.
And then I have a husband who, is amazing, who he gives up everything for me. But then I'm also taking college classes and I coach and do everything else. So typically on Sunday, I'm coaching kids. I try to get some practice in there. Most of the time it doesn't happen just because I'm coaching and there's a lot of kids. I think we have 23 or 24 of them that come out. And then on Monday nights, we go up and between coaching and shooting. And then Friday nights are my other nights that I can do that. And then if I can find some time in between, if I need to work on something real heavy, then I'll go up and work on that also. So it's a big difference when you have a lot more responsibilities. But then we also have, kids that, they have other sports that they're in also. So
yeah, for sure. Kristina, how about yourself? What kind of preparation were you trying to do coming into the Classic?
Well, I'm very fortunate that farming is an off season right now in Michigan. So I've been able to actually be at the range twice a week, but I do holds and band work and other things at home on those other times. I did try to, just before the Classic, a week and a half before, try to get 3 or 4 days in a week. But again, always at home, daily holds and work like that.
Yeah, no, it makes a difference. But, I wanted to bring that up because when Erin said that during being up on the stage to John Wirt, I think it was John Wirt, I'm pretty sure it was, it really stood out to me because there's not many teenagers that are that driven. And it shows, Erin, that's why you ended up where you ended up, because you put the work in. And so job well done once again.
Thank you.
And I think that's it. I think we did it. I think we're through the end of the podcast. There's a bunch of comments, so but it's just, there's not really questions. I think you guys answered unknowingly most of the questions, but I encourage you to go back and read through because there's some really nice comments about and for the three of you. And I'll leave that live feed up. I typically delete it and then upload it later on after I do like edits and stuff. And I'm definitely going to be pulling some quotes from this for the intro, because it just, there's so many golden nuggets in this podcast from the three of you that other people need to hear. And that's one of the reasons we do the podcast and the Barebow project. But thank you all so much. Fawn, my dear, it's a pleasure having you on once again. It's always fun. And I commend you for being a mom and a teacher and a coach. I get it. And without people like yourself and others out there willing to put in that time, we wouldn't have kids like Erin and your coach as well. Thank you to your coach as well, Erin Stewart. That's hope they get to meet him someday. But all right, ladies, that's it. I'm gonna let you go because I know you have to get up for school, don't you?
Yeah.
You mean see, look, you're staying up late. You need to go to school.
So
All right.
I know I need to get my kid to bed. So
Yes, well, there you go. Take
Thank
care
you
of 'em.
again.
all right,
Absolutely.
thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Have a
Peace
good
out,
night.
everyone.
Bye.
Hey,